I vowed that when I did come to a rank that allowed me to supervise, I would treat people with respect and dignity and respect who they are for the job that they're doing and not where they come from. We're all here for the same reason. We're all here to do a job in the military. We're all there to do a job to protect this country and to protect the citizens of Turtle Island.
Good day and welcome to the show. My name is Barry Pitcher, CEO of Commissionaires Nova Scotia, and your host for Purpose and Protection. We're honored to welcome Elder Debbie Eisan from the Batchewana First Nation in Ontario. Debbie's life has been one of service, leadership, and deep connection to community. She has served in the Canadian Armed Forces, navigating the challenges of military life while carrying the strength of her culture and the teachings of her people. Today, she calls Mi'kma'ki home, where she serves as a respected elder, guiding others with her wisdom, compassion, and lived experience. In this conversation, we'll hear about her journey from the shores of Lake Superior to the East Coast, the proud and difficult moments of her military career, and how she bridges Indigenous traditions across territories. Debbie shares stories of resilience, the role of women in leadership, and her hopes of future generations, both in and out of uniform. This is a story about identity, adaptation, and the enduring power of community. Debbie Eisan, Jalasi, welcome to Purpose and Protection. I'm so excited that you're here today.
Oh, I'm so honored to be here, Barry. It's great to share this story, but it's more about the story. It's about education, and it's about putting options out there for young people. You know, no matter what background they come from, they can do anything they want to do as long as they put their heart and their mind to it and move forward.
I love that positive message. And you've got so much to offer. I mean, as I know you here in Nova Scotia, you're an elder, you're an honorary naval captain, you're an ambassador for the Friendship Center, you're on numerous boards, and of course, I know you best as a member of our board of directors for Commissionaires Nova Scotia. And I might add, sometimes we forget how important a little bit of positive feedback goes. And I remember on your first board meeting, you said, I'm on a lot of boards and I have to say I'm very impressed with this team and you're doing a good job. And we came away from that very appreciative. So thank you.
Oh, you're quite welcome.
Yeah.
I don't use words that I don't mean, and I speak from my heart. And when people ask me to be on boards, I come on board with the board.
Yep.
Because I believe in the work that they're doing and the positive way that, you know, especially the commissionaires are moving ahead with veterans. I do a lot of work with veterans and specifically Indigenous veterans as well. And when you have an organization that works specifically for veterans and wants to look after the well-being of veterans once they finish our term with the military, then you can't go wrong. As long as you keep moving forward, it's positive that way. And I meant what I said.
Well, very appreciative. And moving forward seems to be your theme.
Yes.
You came from Ontario, the Batchewana First Nation, and then all that you've done here in Nova Scotia. We want to really sort of go at this from two themes today, as an accomplished woman in the Canadian Armed Forces and what that meant to you and what your journey was. And of course, what does it mean to be an Indigenous veteran? And maybe what is the future? We'll talk a little bit about attraction, recruiting, what it takes. As you know, I'm a former RCMP officer, and we often struggle with bringing in young people now to policing, and the same goes for the military. So, but before we start, I like to start with a gift, which is always the best way to start, right? This is our centennial year, so our 100th anniversary coin I will present to you. I know you collect coins.
Yes, I do, actually. Oh my gosh, this is beautiful. Thank you. This will take a place of honor in my collection.
I'm glad you appreciate it. And there's a little take-home card for you as well that for coming in today.
Thank you. Oh, wow. That's gorgeous. 100 years.
100 years. Hard to believe,
100 years. Eh? I have visions. I want to be 100 years old and still doing the things I'm doing, but we'll see.
I will be at your birthday party. How's that? And I will sing to you.
Okay.
With my guitar.
It's a deal. Bring a cup of tea with you.
Done. So let's start with your childhood, your family days, your rearing up? What did you want to do? What were your dreams and aspirations, and how was that?
Well, when I was a kid, I am from Batchewana First Nation, Anishinabe, which means native woman in Ojibway. And my father was a fisherman. And so we lived in the city in Sault Ste. Marie, but on the summertime, we went to the reserve and lived with my grandpa in his house on the reserve on Lake Superior. But as I was growing up, I always wanted to be a nurse, and I'm not going to academia by no means, but I wanted to be a nurse. And so, things happen as your kid. There's 6 kids in our family and not a whole lot of money. So going to university was never a part of, but I had dreams. So I will share with you that for those listening out there, you have to listen to your dreams, because dreams come true no matter how you look at it. In some way, shape, or form, your dreams will come true. So as I said, I wanted to be a nurse, but specifically, I wanted to go to Africa and help children in Africa as a nurse. So in my career in the military, I found myself in Rwanda. I was working with 3 Canadian support group, and we went over to Rwanda to close out the United Nations base there. And so we went on a tour around and up into the mountains. And the grass, you see it on TV, the grass is so high. We thought we were just alone there. There was 3 military vehicles and military people in. So we stopped on the side of the road and took out our IMPs and started making our lunch. So I'm getting and IMPs, are not the best, but when you're hungry, they'll do. They'll work.
That's food in a bag for those that don't know.
Yes, food in a bag. Food in a bag. Sorry,
Yeah.
thank you, Barry. You never get rid of those acronyms.
Yeah.
So anyways, we're getting our food in a bag ready to go, and outside of this grass came all of these children. Like nobody knew they were there. And this one particular little boy, he was about 2 or 3 years old, and he was staring at me. So I coaxed him on over, and he had little shorts on and a little button-up T-shirt. He had peed his pants, but his face was all dusty with tear tracks down his cheeks. So I coaxed him on over and tucked in his shirt, because military, tucked in his shirt.
Of course.
Took the wet one and wiped his face off, and I coaxed him into having some chocolate out of the ration packs. And first he didn't want to do it, but he when I got him to taste it, he just loved it. So he came over, sat on my knee, and I fed him my lunch. And as with all the other military there was kids everywhere. So this little fella and I spent probably a good hour, getting to know each other. And when we were leaving, I said, "Bye, Matthew." And my boss looked to me and he said, "How did you know his name was Matthew?" Because he didn't say a word. And I said, "I didn't, but if I had a son, his name was going to be Matthew."
Oh.
So, and later on, my daughter, when she had our very first grandson, she named him Matthew. But I still have his picture on my fridge at home. But I will say that at that moment, I realized that my dream came true. I wasn't a nurse, but I was someone over in Africa looking after little children. So that's how my dream came true. And so when I talk to people, I say, keep your dreams, because you never know when they're going to come to reality one way or another. Maybe not in the way that you envision that they would come, but they will still come. So
Wow.
That's how I kind of started out. And there's been so many journeys in my life that I am so grateful and I am so appreciative of, because if I didn't join the Canadian Armed Forces, I probably wouldn't be sitting here today with you talking about, the journeys that I've been on and all the gifts that have been given to me by friendship and by just doing things that I've never thought I'd do as a young girl from Batchewana First Nation.
Yeah. And why the Navy? Was it because of your grandfather or?
Well, not particularly. Maybe my grandpa and my dad were fishermen, but when I joined, back then it wasn't tri-service, it was UNO service. So
Right.
I met my husband actually in Cornwallis. We are a Cornwallis couple.
Okay.
And I was a supply technician, and my husband Dave is a vehicle technician. So my course finished early, and I was posted to the depot in Moncton.
Mm-hmm.
And there wasn't a position there, because Dave and I were married, and there wasn't a position there for him as a TQ3 vehicle technician. So we both got posted to Gagetown, which we were tri-service, so it didn't matter. But when we were unilingual service. So when we went to tri-service, they automatically gave me an Army uniform, which was okay. But when they gave options to transfer to Navy, I quickly took the naval naval thing. I think it has to do, I love the water and I love being by the water. Can't swim a stroke, but, when I go to sea, I always took 2 bathing suits in case one got wet.
Oh, I love it.
But, I switched to Navy, and it's always been, there's something about the water, and I think it comes from my family.
Yeah.
My dad fished, my uncles fished, my grandpa fished.
And your family was proud, obviously. Are you the first Canadian Forces member in your family?
Yeah, the very first one. I've sort of done some research. There's not a whole lot of research back in my family, but never had anyone join the military. So the reason and how I joined the military is a very, sort of a funny story. If you want, I'll share it with you.
Yes, please do.
So I when I was working with the Canadian Forces recruiting group, they asked me to go to Toronto to do an interview on Remembrance Day. So with me, there was 2 Army, a colonel and a sergeant from the PPCLI, and myself. I was a C2. So the interviewer asked the colonel why he joined the military, and he said, well, it's a long-standing family tradition. His great-great-grandfather and his so on. And he thought this was the route that he needed to be on. So he was on a good path. And meanwhile, I started thinking, oh, my goodness, what am I going to say? So then she went to he was a Pakistani sergeant with the PPCLI, and she asked him, and he said, well, his family came to Canada when he was 6, and when he told his mother that he was going to join the Canadian Armed Forces, she said, what an honorable thing to do, to join the army of a country that has given so much to our family. And I thought, well, that is just wonderful. Wow. And so meanwhile, I'm thinking, what do I do? Do I create, long stay? I don't want to lie. I don't lie. Yeah. So I said, might as well tell it like it is, straight up. So when she came to me and she asked me, and I said, well, I don't have the same kind of story as my 2 colleagues here, but I graduated high school. And I was working because I worked all night, doing a waitress job all night. And then during the day, I go to school. Wow. So I needed to finish my high school. Yeah. But as I was working one day at the lunch rush, I was delivering a toasted bacon, lettuce, and tomato sandwich and a bowl of chicken and rice soup to a businessman. And I tripped on a tomato peel. I slipped and I dumped everything in his lap.
Perfect.
So I thought I was going to be fired. So before they could fire me, I quit. And I left and I went over to back then it was called the unemployment office. I don't know what it's called now. It's been a number of years since I've had to. But as I walked in, I picture this clear as it happened yesterday. Over to my left-hand side, there was 2 guys in a uniform. Now, I was a 17-year-old single girl, and I saw these 2 guys in a uniform. So I worked my way over there, and that was in December the 5th, I joined the military, and in February, I was on my way to my basic training in Cornwallis. Wow. That is how I joined the military.
Well, that's quite a life event. That's quite a number of dominoes that fell in.
Absolutely. And my mother, I was only 17, so my mother would not sign my paper. So, and usually I follow all the rules. I don't like getting in trouble, but when she wouldn't sign for me, I signed her name and I left. So luckily I've been able to re-sign after I'd be in trouble right now. But that's how I found myself on my journey.
Wow.
Yeah. And then into my basic training in Cornwallis back then, men and women were not on the same course. We followed the same training timeline. So the men were on one platoon and the women were on another. So I was 7606W and my husband, he was on 7606. So we met 2 weeks into our basic training. And 50 years later, here we are.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Service and a marriage.
And a marriage. I always tell people I fell in love with a pair of beautiful blue eyes. So,
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's from Jabuktuk here. So.
Okay. Wow. So in many ways, you've had a life partner. Not a lot of people have that. I mean, they go through their teens. I was in my teens when I joined, and you're alone for a lot of those years. Mm-hmm. But I mean, what was it like to have a spouse as a new?
You know what? He's my rock. I call him my smudge, because if I'm having a bad day and all I need to do is hear his voice, we're like any married couple. We've had our ups and downs, absolutely, but I know I can turn to him when I need him. The troubles that I've gone through with racism and discrimination in my early part of my career in the military, he was the one who, gave me the strength to start moving forward. I was getting some trouble from a boss when I was in Gagetown, and he sent me home crying one day out of some remarks that he made. And actually what he said was, shouldn't a good Indian woman be in at home looking after the babies and creating supper for their husbands? And
Oh my God.
I didn't say anything because back then I never said anything to anybody.
Yeah.
He sent me home crying. And when I got home, Dave said, why do you let him get to you? You know you're better than that. You know you're stronger than that. And from him saying that gave me the courage and the straightened my shoulders a little bit and said, you know what, you're right. I am better than that. And I'm not going to let him get to me. And I vowed that when I did come to a rank that allowed me to supervise, I would treat people with respect and dignity and not send them home in tears, and respect who they are for the job that they're doing and not where they come from and what their background is. And I sort of tried to live up to that. I'm not 100%, I'm not a perfect person, but I've tried to live up to that as best I could through my career and be there for people. And I love to learn about different cultures and different ways of doing things. And when I do that, when I learn about different cultures and I put that all together, we're all here for the same reason. We're all here to do a job in the military. We're all there to do a job to protect this country and to protect the citizens of Turtle Island. And so that's how I sort of move forward.
Wow.
So Dave has always been my rock.
Well, let's dedicate the show to Dave.
Absolutely. Yes.
We need more Daves.
We do. I actually have a shirt that says that. We need more Daves in our life.
Yeah. And I mean, if he was giving you that advice back then, I mean, he was truly an ambassador before his time, because I'm sure that probably wasn't the only challenge that you had, as a young Indigenous woman coming up through. Yeah,
I never really talked about being Indigenous because I kind of wanted to deny it.
Wow.
People would ask me if I was Eskimo, and back then I didn't realize that Eskimo was a derogatory term, which it is. But I would say no, and then just kind of put it to a side. And I would, like when I was in high school, I used to walk along the walls so that the popular kids could have the hallway to themselves. So I really didn't say anything, really didn't bring anything attention to myself. And I have to say that it was through the military that I gained the confidence, and then I gained the voice to be able to stand up for not only for myself, but other young Indigenous women and men in uniform. And, I was on my junior leaders course, actually, and I was thinking, I have a great husband. I have 2 beautiful daughters. I got a great job. I got friends. I wouldn't say happy. I just didn't feel content. So I talked with an elder, and they said, when's the last time you smudged? And I couldn't answer. When's the last time you went to ceremony? And I couldn't answer. So when I realized that I was leaving my culture behind and moving forward, I was leaving a part of who I was. And so that's why I tell people, maintain your grassroots, because without your roots, without knowing where your people are from, not knowing what struggles your family had, you can't be really truly yourself. So when I went back to ceremony, when I started smudging, when I started walking the walk and talking the talk for myself, then I started to realize, okay, this is good. This is what I was missing. And so the struggles that I had by this time as junior leader, getting promoted to master corporal, I started to being in those supervisory positions and starting to share the culture and share what I was doing. And from that point on, whatever I did, I shared, I educated. The former Senator Murray Sinclair, who's now in the spirit world, with the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, he said education got us into this mess, and education will get us out.
Powerful.
And it really struck with me because, it's about sharing. It's walking that path side by side, and that's what reconciliation does. It's not, I don't expect you, Barry, to go and learn about my culture and reconcile with me. I have to help you. Otherwise you're going to Google everything, and you know what Google does.
Yes.
So we have to walk side by side and work together and go through those struggles together and go through those different scenarios together so that we understand each other, and you understand where I'm coming from, and I understand where you're coming from. And that's how we're going to move forward.
I love it. As you know, I love education.
Yeah. Yes.
And earlier you spoke of when you sort of reconnected through smudge and ceremony. Maybe for our listeners, maybe just take us through what that is and what that means.
Yeah, a smudging ceremony is done with 4 sacred medicines of cedar, sweetgrass, sage, and tobacco. And each one of those medicines have teachings that go with it. But the tobacco is the oldest medicine that we have here on Mother Earth. And when we use tobacco in our smudge medicine, it takes our prayers up to the Creator. So when we put those 4 medicines together and we light it with a match, it creates a smoke or a smudge. And so when we smudge, we start with our hands and cleanse our hands like we're washing in the sink. And then we'll bring the smoke up to our eyes so that when we see things clear. We see what's actually there in front of you and not what you want to see. A lot of times we only see what we want to see and not what's there. The next thing, we bring the smudge to our ears so that when we listen, we hear what's actually being said and not what we want to hear. Then the smudge comes to our mouth. Some people will just do their lips. Other people will let the smudge come right inside their mouth so that when we speak the truth and we speak from our heart. Then the smudge goes down one side of your body and then the other, and then lastly to your heart. Some people will ask for the bottoms of their feet to be smudged for 2 reasons. One is they're on a very traditional path and they want to stay on that path, so they have the bottoms of their feet smudged and pray to the Creator to help them to stay on that path. Others are having their bottoms of their feet smudged because they want to stay on what we call the red path. And the red path is steering clear of drugs and alcohol. So they're praying to Creator to help them to stay on that path, to keep away from those bad medicines. But when we do this, we're getting rid of any negative energy that's in our body. And sometimes you do it once a day. Sometimes you do it as many times as you need. Working at the Friendship Center, when I talk with a lot of people, I'll smudge before, and then after I speak with someone, I'll smudge again, because I need to protect myself as well, but also I want to make sure that I'm not carrying negative energy from one person to the other and so on and so forth. So and what it does is it grounds you to Mother Earth. Sometimes when I tell people, like if they're having a really bad day and seems like everything is spinning and you just can't go outside, sit down on Mother Earth, put your hands flat on her and feel her energy. Feel her grounding you and stopping you from doing that spinning, and take a few minutes and just breathe in the smell of the earth. Breathe in and feel the energy that she has to help you through that day. So that's what the smudge does for you. And ceremonies are sweat lodges, to go through. There's many different types of sweats that you can do. There's naming sweats and there's cleansing sweats. And it just helps you to also sweat out that negative energy and have a chance to pray to Creator and just connect in a way that that helps you to stay on a good path.
It's funny, for our listeners out there, Debbie was by we just had a large painting commissioned in our lobby of Commissioner's headquarters, and it is by Loretta Gould. It was a beautiful painting with deep meaning, using the bear symbology. And when you came in and you first began the smudge, some people were like, why is there something burning in here? And then you said, hey, this is what smudging is, and who would like to come up and try it? So I have to tell you, in the weeks following that dedication, I haven't heard anything about, my speech or what anyone had said. They said, you know what, Barry, the greatest thing I learned that day was what smudging was for those 5 or 6 employees that came up. So that's the power of education.
Absolutely.
And demonstration.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why you have to share that. Because I could have just stood there and smudged and just, it is what it is. But when you educate people, they understand the significance. And it's not about religion. It's about the spiritual connection. And so, so when you share the story, you share not so much the story, but the teaching behind it, then people connect, and maybe not in the way that I connect, but they connect in the way that they would connect with it. And so, so I believe in sharing that. And, I'm not a teacher by no means, but I enjoy and I believe in sharing what I've learned.
Wow.
No.
And so your career in the Canadian Forces, over 30 years?
36 years,
wow.
3 days. Only another military person would understand the importance of those 3 days.
Did you have a countdown?
Yes and no. Yes and no. Actually, I did not really want to get out, but I knew it was time. You know, when you know it's
You
time,
know it's time.
you know
Yeah.
it's time. And I actually retired on a Friday in December of 2011. And I took my sea boots off, and on Monday I started working at the Friendship Center, put moccasins on. I've been there ever since.
Great.
So 2 full days off, but and the Friendship Center is such an amazing
Let's
place
talk
to
about
be.
the Friendship Center.
Yeah, I went there even when I was still in uniform. And it was my connection to the Indigenous folks here in Jabuktuk in Halifax. And so I had lots of friends there, and they are what an amazing organization with wraparound services for urban Indigenous folks. And people come there just to connect with culture. They come there when they need help. They come there when they don't know where else to go.
Yeah.
So, or just to get a hug. Wraparound services, for sure. There's over 70 programs available through the Friendship Center.
Wow.
And led by an amazing woman, Pam Glode-DeRoche. I call her my admiral. She's still not, she still doesn't like my briefings because I still do my briefings military style.
Of course.
But, and I'm getting used to them. They're getting used to me using military time, but she's amazing. She's such a great leader, and she's taking us places that I didn't think people realize we could go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I have to say word of mouth means a lot.
Absolutely.
We've done a couple sessions down there, and we get feedback sometimes that they say that's the best training they had was that immersive day that they spent with you.
Yeah.
And there's artwork on the walls. Like even just having a break, you're learning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, I do the blanket exercise, and that's part of Truth and Reconciliation. So that blanket exercise takes you through hundreds of years of the Indigenous people from prior to colonization, during colonization, and how we got to the point we're at today. And so it's a real eye-opener for people. And it wasn't taught in schools. It's starting to now, which I'm really happy about that. But that's the truth part of Truth and Reconciliation. Before you move ahead, you have to understand how we got to the point we're at today. So people hear, now we know about residential schools, but when people hear about blankets laced with, diseases to try to eradicate, and especially here in Mi'kmaq with the Scalping Proclamation, and just different things that have happened throughout the hundreds of years, when people see the timeline and it was systematically done to eradicate Indigenous people, they understand. They say, now we get it. So moving ahead is not the same for everybody.
That's right.
Reconciliation for me is very different than reconciliation for you. We have to find our own way, but we need to know the truth before you can move ahead. And it's not about me walking in front of you and you walking in front of me. It's about us walking together side by side and doing this together. And that's why, even sitting on the board with the commissionaires, to me, I love doing that. I love the work that we're doing, but it's also about education. It's also about sharing the culture and sharing just a little, when I wear my ribbon skirt, sharing why I'm wearing a ribbon skirt all the time and doing the things that we do. And, I'm actually working on a ribbon skirt right now with the Commissionaire's logo on it.
Oh, I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, it's, I'm excited about that.
Yeah,
to
we
see.
have our annual get-together of all the directors and CEOs and their families. They're coming to Halifax next year, next June.
Yeah.
So that would be a great place to unveil.
Yeah, for sure. And, something that Indigenous women who are in a commissionaire's uniform can maybe wear, or whatever. I mean, there's still a lot of work to be done. There is teachings that go with wearing that skirt as well. And that somebody doesn't just put on a skirt and go ahead. You need to be able to answer the questions. Why are you wearing that? So, I mean, it's about working together, and it's fun. If you're a sewer, it's fun. I'm a sewer, so I love doing that kind of stuff.
I'll tell you a quick story. We had one of Loretta's smaller artworks from Friends United in Cape Breton in our boardroom, and it's symbolic of Turtle Island, and it's up just next to some of the old black and white photos that we have representing our history. We had a delegation from a very big corporation come in to discuss contract. They went away, and the one email we got back was from one of the people in the party saying, I have to say, I've been in business for 20-something years, and I've never come into a boardroom and seen Indigenous art. I am Indigenous. Thank you for having that in your boardroom.
Absolutely.
So,
people say it depends on how far you take it as well, right?
yeah,
So having that artwork there, absolutely. But don't just stop at the artwork.
that's right.
You've got to. We've been smudging in inside the headquarters there, and we've been sharing that culture, and that's the main thing. It's those commissionaires that are Indigenous that feel welcome, that they can practice their spirituality in a good way and not have to fight for it. Those are the kind of things that employment and diversity, those are words. I hope one day we can get away from having that, but right now we need to. But it's about making that workplace a welcoming place. And that's what the commissionaires are doing. That's what's happening, right? Same as the Canadian Armed Forces.
Yes.
When I did the smudging of the new ship, the Hampton Grey, and I was talking with the sponsor for it, Hampton Grey's niece.
Right. Wow.
And I was saying, I've done a lot of ceremonies in uniform, a lot of parades in uniform. But since I've been released, I'm starting to be just as many, or maybe not exactly, but as many requests for smudging ceremonies, requests for opening prayers, requests for land acknowledgements within the military that I've done. So there's still work to be done by absolutely, but at the same time, recognizing the need to acknowledge that this is Mi'kmaq territory that we're on. And I do that before every one of my prayers because I'm not Mi'kmaq, I'm Ojibway. And I need to acknowledge this territory and where I'm working and where I'm living, where I'm praying, where I'm doing my things. And so it's great that is coming along, you know, and the different things that we've done for the braid and things like that. The Canadian Forces is making great strides. And that's why I still continue to put the word out there for young Indigenous men and women if they want to be in uniform, that they are. And racism is alive and well no matter where you go. You know, it's how they react to it, how things happen. And so what things are in place that will take care of that kind of stuff that happens. And we all know about the Old Boys Network, and
still exists.
It still exists. So we have to really work hard. And as a woman in uniform, I fought for women in uniform, and I advocated for Indigenous in uniform, but I still continue to use my voice. If somebody wants to hear me, I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to express the importance of Indigenous people in uniform.
If we look forward, as you know now, with the recent announcement of the pay increase for Canadian Armed Forces and hiring voters to get more young people to join, you know, what would you say to young Indigenous women as, you know, if you were to say, this is why you should join the Canadian, or this is why you should be a reservist, what do we need to bring people forward?
I think we need to let them know that they can do this. It may not 36 years like me, but if you do 5-10 years, you're going to gain so much.
Yeah.
There's education, there's quality of life is there as well. But and leaving your community, but you can always go back to your community with what you've learned, the insight that you have gained from being a part of the Canadian Forces, a trade, you know, friendships, travel, a stable life, a pension if you want to do the time. It just takes some toughness, you know, to be away from your family. I know that I called my mother collect every day when I was in Cornwallis, and I only paid her back when I got home. She didn't charge me for anything, but when I got home, she showed me the phone bill. But, you know, there's that connection, and it's good for women to do this, to show people that we are strong and that we can do anything that we wanted. I'm so independent now. Like when my husband was away, if something needed to be done, I just learned to do it. If it was electrical, I learned how to do it. It was fixing something, I learned how to do it. And you know, I can do things on my own now. And women need to know that they can do that. Same as young men. You know, it's true. It's everything.
Yes.
You know, you don't have to do, like I said, 36 years, but give it that 5 or 10 years and it's going to fight the fight, share the culture. If you're going to come in and you're going to experience, if you experience some racism and discrimination, take the route that I took, educate. People want to, as soon as I say, do you want to learn how to do this? Absolutely. And when you open yourself up to sharing the culture, sharing who we are as Indigenous people want to learn because it's ignorance. Discrimination and racism, you're not born with it. It's a learned thing.
Mm-hmm.
And when you educate, it opens the doors wide. That's why I love Senator Murray Sinclair. When he said that, it really put things into perspective for me to say, you know what, this is a good path I'm on. And this is the path I think that the Creator meant for me to be on. I'm the oldest of 6 kids, and each one of my siblings are on we're from the Fish Clan, so it's sharing culture, sharing stories, and educating, and we're all on that same path of education.
And service can be really anything, right?
Absolutely.
It can be police, fire, first responders,
RCMP. Yeah,
there's many ways to serve, and I would agree with you. I like to think my character now is a journey of, God knows there's been mistakes. But you learn. And sometimes service it's a big melting pot because, whether it's, Canadian Forces or National Police Force, it brings Canadians from all across, and you have no choice but to learn to work together. So in many ways, it forces you all to gel together as one. And you can't do that if you don't understand perspectives. And I know I mentioned you before, two-eyed seeing, understanding the perspectives of others and not be narrow-minded in your scope, because it's easy to fall into that trap.
I always say my prayers, Barry, Creator, to help us open our hearts and our minds with clarity and understanding of the words that we're going to be, or the job that we're going to do, or where we're going to be. And so if we do that, we don't look at it as a job or as a profession or something. We look at it as a journey. And if you're on a journey, sometimes journeys, they go by so fast. The past 50 years for me have gone by so fast. My daughters are grown. My grandchildren are, my youngest granddaughter is going to be 10, and there's no more babies coming. I'm too young to be a great-grandmother yet. But, the time flies by so fast. And this journey that I've been on, I can't even understand or comprehend the things that I have done since I slipped on that tomato peel back in 1975.
Full circle.
Full circle. Hopefully, if I slip on a tomato peel now, it's a whole different story than getting a new job. But, it's just been so amazing. And I've been so blessed with having the people that have been in my corner, the people that I've met, the places that I've visited. I met the Queen.
Wow.
I met Prince Philip.
Wow.
I have King Charles. I've met King Charles. Like the things that I've done, presented to the president of Antigua, seen 300 whales playing with a ship out in the middle of the ocean.
Wow.
Like things that I have seen and done, I would never, ever have been able to do that if I did not slip on that tomato peel.
Well, so I always end this with our guests with this question. What does service mean to you? I think I know. That was you've told so many good stories, but if you had to encapsulate it, your life, Debbie Eisan, service to you means
being blessed.
Being blessed
Because, like I said, I would never have been able to do what I did today without my military career, because it gave me the strength, it gave me the confidence, it gave me the endurance to be able to do the things that I've done. My grandma told me, you can tell people to go to hell in such a way as they enjoy the journey. So when you learn that lesson, you can educate people that are maybe in positions that other people would never say, oh, I can't say that to them, but you can. If you do it in a good way, if you do it from your heart, educate them and share the culture, share who you are. It doesn't need to be Indigenous, it could be anything. Share about who you are. And that's what the military has done for me. It has given me that confidence and that pride to move forward.
Love it. Absolutely love it. And folks, today's episode is on the traditional and unceded Mi'kmaq ancestral territories here in Nova Scotia. We are blessed. We are blessed to recognize that. We are thankful for your service.
Thank you, Barry. But could I just add that just to let people know that this year, 2025, marks the 300th anniversary of the signing of the Treaty of 1725.
Wow.
So it's good to recognize that and to hope that these treaties last for hundreds of more years to come.
Amen to that. And of course, as we said earlier, this episode is dedicated to Dave for being not only a great husband and father and grandfather, but a Canadian Armed Forces ambassador, because I love that story that you told.
Yeah. And, he's an amazing vehicle tech too, so
great stuff.
When I was in high school, I took mechanics and I got a 25 on my final exam, so I married a mechanic.
Love it. Well, folks, that's it for Purpose and Protection. My name is Barry Pitcher. Remember to like, listen, and share. And until next time, have a great day.
Miigwech, thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Purpose and Protection, brought to you by Commissionaires Nova Scotia. This show is hosted by Barry Pitcher, CEO of Commissionaires Nova Scotia. Scripting, marketing, and communications by Jill Smith and Renee McLeod of Commissionaires Nova Scotia. Editing and sound design by Connor Sampson and produced by Amina Faubert from Podstarter. Special thanks to Honorary Captain and Retired Petty Officer Second Class Elder Debbie Eisan. And to you, our listeners, for your continued support. This episode was recorded on August 13th, 2025 at Podstarter Studios. Purpose and Protection is recorded and produced in Halifax, Nova Scotia, also known as Chibuktuk. Located in Mi'kma'ki, this ancestral and unceded territory is subject to the peace and friendship treaties signed between the Mi'kmaq nations and the Crown, dating back to 1725. We recognize and respect the ongoing relationship that exists between Indigenous peoples and these lands. We are all treaty people. We extend our heartfelt thanks to the service people and frontline workers who serve and protect our communities every day. Your dedication and sacrifice do not go unnoticed, and we are deeply grateful for all that you do. We look forward to sharing more stories with you next month. Until then, be sure to follow, rate, and share Purpose and Protection wherever you get your podcasts.